Hello and welcome to episode 247 of our SAP on Azure Video Podcast. Today is June 27th, and together with Goran, we are here to talk about anything related to SAP and Microsoft. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
So actually, just a few weeks back, we had CJ on our show to talk about Azure AI and SAP integration. In the meantime, he is continuing to build out his integration demo. I think actually, CJ, you're now on part 9 of your demos that you just published. So today, we want to take a step back and want to see what kind of integrations are possible when it comes to AI and AI from Microsoft, obviously, with SAP. So thanks, CJ, for joining us today and to guiding us through the different options that are available. As always, before we dive into the topic, maybe a very quick introduction about yourself. I guess, I mean, you're almost a regular now on our show. So I think a lot of folks know you already, but just in case, a brief introduction. What do you do at Microsoft?
All right. Good morning, Holger. Good morning, Gordon. Okay. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, wherever you dial in our SAP Azure podcast. Thank you very much. My name is ChanJin Park here in Microsoft. Everyone call me a CJ. I'm part of the Microsoft, the SAP on Azure team based out of Singapore. So I'm helping that our Azure customer, all our data and AI colleagues who have interest in that getting a benefit of the Microsoft AI with SAP data. So I'm the kind of like one of the go-to person who work with our customer and partner. So I mean, I'm glad to get back to the SAP podcast once again, Holger and Gordon.
Perfect.
Pleasure to have you back.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do want to mention again, I mean, I think really on a weekly basis now, you are publishing some amazing content on LinkedIn. Always a great business case, a video, a GitHub repo that customers can also try it out for themselves. And I think this is really great to see the art of the possible, what you're doing there. So I think keep it up. I think this is really cool to see.
All right, great. So I think the so far today, right? I mean, from the Microsoft point of view, so we are actually one of the last day of our closing that our financial year FY25. So I'll be quickly starting with the whole guy, Gordon, if you don't mind. Some of like the popular the post and article podcast. What I've been working with you and the overall the FY25. As we can see, like. I mean, I'm trying to posting at least one article or the GitHub, any of the recording. So based on my MVP in actual customer cases, most of you who have been asking the various questions, actually, my demo is actually came from the actual customers in the cases where I've been closely working with that pre-sales team. So among the FY25, I think from the SAP on Azure podcast to with you, Holger, in the code, I think. This is the financial insight where I was showing you that something called like semantic kernel with a code interpreter, the option where I creating that multiple the agent that is actually the semantic kernel is to do the orchestration. That was quite popular. I got a lot of the demo requests after this one. And also only 2 months back, I think this is one of the agentic AI for SAP. So this is where we actually indeed deep down that the agentic AI, so using that the AI agent, where now officially available with that Azure AI Foundry. So those are 2 podcasts actually quite popular among our customer and partners. I've got a lot of questions from my customer. And then from the post and article point of view, so I think I think 2 weeks ago, so I completed the testing of something called the write up the bill. So we have been announcing that Azure AI Foundry within that agent. So we actually able to calling that logic app as part of the agent. So as the tools. And then, I mean, they get the idea from the typical the SAP ES5, so I taking that ES5 all the way down. So this part was okay. But however, a lot of customers, they are asking, hey, ChanJin and CJ, how do I consuming that? Those are the agent which is running fine in the Azure Playground into the Copilot in TeamSet. So probably at the end of today's podcast, I'll try to spend some the live demo with that portion. And then lastly, I got some idea from the Holger's, you're the MCP and OData SAP in the podcast about, I guess it's last week, right? So I also got created some idea of, actually using that as a function with that MCP server thing. Let's see how it goes like that. Okay.
Right.
So I think today what I want to sharing that idea with the topic what we have in that right after the build, there are so many announcements from the Microsoft side, when it comes with that, how you're creating the agent from the infrastructure point of view, PaaS point of view, SaaS point of view. So among us, like you will see that day by day, we got a lot of data from the Copilot Studio, where you prefer that sort of like a quickly building that the drag and drop. But however, I see that a lot of services actually happening that the Azure AI Foundry as well. So for me, like I still prefer that the fully control throughout that the code basis. Then I do building that the various integration scenario what I have been shared with you. Okay. So without further ado, so what we have been discussed over the last couple of months, almost like we're trying to see that what are all the integration options between that SAP as a data source, and then on your right hand side from the consumption point of view. So far, just to recap with that, every time I meet my customer partner, majority of our customers is asking is that, hey, I do have, my ECC S/4HANA. Now, like they are asking that, yeah, SaaS solution as well. Okay, so I got case with the Ariba as well. So among the various SAP data system where they're running their SAP in on-prem, of course in SAP on Azure in a SaaS basis, I would including that majority of data source actually what the customer wants to ingest, where they want to moving into the data platform, would that be CDS view. So this is one of the very popular, most of the customer, they love to play around with the CDS view. And then typical, those are the Mara, BBAC, the BKL, including the Z table. And then ever since we are launching that the Azure AI agent logic app, there are quite a lot of the customer they're asking that OData is a good way of the consuming throughout that, including the apps, MCP as well. And then as long as we have got all the unstructured data, so we are able to the ingesting that the Fabric, and the Fabric comes with that now in data agent. Okay. And then these are data agent are also able to consume by that Copilot Studio as the SaaS basis. And if you prefer that still Azure AI Foundry, then it's still considered as the PaaS. And then this is a way of the consuming data.
CJ, just one question.
Yeah.
You hear talk about structured and unstructured data. What will you use? Well, depends on the source, right? So if Ariba offer you PDF and XML, you will do this. If not, if there's some other source like table, you have some structured data. Depends, right? What would you personally prefer as a source? Structure or
Yeah. So I think this is the goal, and this is a very good question. Whenever I do the demo, right? So I think a lot of customers they are asking that, hey CJ, as you can see, I do have like a millions of record from my BBAC in Mara. Okay. So however, including the Delta part. So end user is asking the way of like the better we're consuming by the Copilot. Okay. So then if this is a structured data, like what the Mara, BBAC sales order, purchase order, from the table to the Fabric, okay, throughout that the supported connector, this is what easy to get the accurate answer. So what it means that sometimes like once we launching the barriers of the Copilot Studio agent, customers been trying that barriers of the agent by themselves. Like sometimes they dumping that this a huge amount of the Mara in the BBAC table into the Excel file, and they uploading the Copilot Studio. So they trying to integrating their sort of like a declarative agent, and then they find out that actually the answers are the inaccurate. And then later I look at that. So then actually they dumping the entire 100, more than 200 column, we're including that the garbage column with that, including that the descriptive, the garbage as well. That's why it become inaccurate. But however, some customer they find out that hey, we have got very good custom CDS view, so which is landing with a very structured way of the OData, and then OData comes with the proper structure of the entity, and then it mixed with that well-defined entity. And then definitely, so OData is much easier. So you are able to integrate it into the Fabric. So we actually able to directly pushing that OData into the Fabric. Also the MCP. So MCP also the able to exposing that the OData part of like the REST API, the external, then we are able to consuming that. So for me, I mean, depends on the size of data. If customer they feeling in that, so they do have sort of like a not a million records. So they do have the structured data where they wanna the accessing that real response throughout the Copilot as the realistic. Okay, and then I do recommend so trying to using the OData, which is the better way. But however, if they have got the structured way of the big the data comes with a million record, so my suggestion would that be trying to ingesting that those are Mara, BBAC, whatever table in the into our data platform, then consumed by that the Copilot Studio and Azure AI agent. So this is what I recommend.
Super.
Yeah. Okay, so I think the next couple of slides, I think so. This is sort of like the I was showed that earlier, but however, this is a more or less as of today. What I have been trying that building that from the ground zero, or the I've got some help, giving the support to our customer partner, the building that in the section of the Microsoft AI solution where we've got what are the options available to bring the SAP data. So first option is that mostly, Teams app, M365 Copilot chat, where we using that. Okay, so previously we say that Teams Toolkit AI library. However, so we changing the name as the Microsoft Agent SDK. So those are the source, right? This is I would say that what the customer they easily able to bring that SAP data throughout that OData API or SAP table. And then they can writing that quick the JavaScript or the TypeScript extra, then they are able to launching that application. Okay, so this is a very common the scenario where I can see. So I think just to bring you there's some idea of what I have been previously showed to them. I hope you still remember that this demo slide. Okay, so this is what we call the message extension. So once you enabling that plugin, okay, so then within that Copilot chat, so you are able to running the natural language query. So then Copilot is actually reading the data from the Synapse or the Fabric. Then it is a response that what you have been written in here. So I think this is actually a lot of the customer. So they are now like they're hearing that the various good points. So this is something we call the enterprise data. So they actually working on that. So benefit of either they go by with the Copilot Studio. So once they've got the fixed flow, or if they prefer that, hey, I wouldn't keeping the full dynamic of natural language chat with the various data. So then they go by that the plugin basis. They're extending that their data access. So this is one of the a lot of the customer they've been doing it. Okay, so also what I can say. So
yeah, especially this has been also around for quite some time,
yeah,
right?
Yeah,
the message extension, as you said, it was originally part of the Teams SDK. So it was actually pretty nice or it is pretty nice in Visual Studio Code. You can easily launch the SDK there. There's almost like a wizard that guides you through the steps, that creates a skeleton, and then you just need the connection to the SAP system in the end.
Yeah. Okay. So so this is what I mean when I created my first demo. I think this is very the customer said, well, this is very difficult now. Once a Copilot Studio comes with the mode that connectors, now it's easy. So I think the beginning of this year, like now, the Fabric comes with it more and more the connectors. Okay. So now. All years I was at the making the query, let's say without Power Automate. For me, so I was at the running that the query from here to directly. But now, once right now the Fabric layout, so now you are able to actually replicating the this table throughout the Power BI data set as a read. Then you actually creating that Copilot agent, and then you triggering the Power Automate flow. and then response by that summarization by the as OpenAI. So then you will get the same answer, something like what you can do. Okay, so this is the same way. Now you can see that the prompt, start the prompt actually happening on your right hand side. So my earlier one is that actually the code basis. This is actually using by the the Copilot Studio. So I replicating the Fabric, then actually data is actually using by the Power BI data set where I'm running reading from the Fabric. Okay, so this is what that same demo, but using the Copilot Studio. So the reading throughout the Power BI data set within the Fabric. Okay, so this is also, yeah.
I think that this is especially interesting for customers that potentially have Fabric already in place or that have huge amount of data, where a simple OData query directly to the SAP system would probably not return the right results. But since you have the one lake or all the data in Fabric, then with the existing connectors, actually, there's in some scenarios you don't even need to develop something. Or as you said, Copilot Studio has connectors for Fabric available, so you can very easily then query this information. I mean, it's not a live call to the SAP system, but it is a call to Fabric, which has the replicated data from the SAP system.
Yeah. So so far now the Fabric become more popular among our data and AI team. So I think this is the same way another integration option. So once if we prefer that read using something called the Fabric Semantic model, I think when I'm comparing the response accuracy, where we classically using the SQL to text by both the docs. Okay, I prefer the docs. The response is much better when it comes to the accuracy. So that's why, like what this demo. So typically, once you have got your replicated data, so pretty much this is what we have been using the ES5. So starting from the business partner set, order set, contact set, order item, the product set. So once you're making that semantic model, okay, so this is how actually running throughout the semantic model basis. Okay, so then I find out that the information, okay, the accuracy is much better comparing the original one. So this is the once you got, so you're asking the customer name, and then so I'm giving that SAP, and yeah, this is trying to connecting the connector. Okay.
Yeah.
So once you do the connect, then it will be make sure that connection has been established. So as you can see, now you're using the agent flow. So you pick up the connection. Okay, so as you can see, like I'm using the Power BI data set. So within the Fabric. Then once a connection has been made, so I go back, then I make the retry. Yeah, okay, so now you can see
there
that.
you get a nice table. Yeah.
So this one has been quite popular with that a lot of customer where they prefer that something called the semantic model. So I think previous demo was like in Aegis one, we're using that the OData. So however, I mean, a lot of customer, they have got the more the structure with the CDSP. So for example, so this is one of the my agent where using that we call the supply spend analytics. So I've got this a C table, supply invoice, the documentation, then as a fact table, and I've got company code, the old plan, and then so something like creating the fact table and dimension table, and then so simply like a cardinality, and followed by that, then I mean you are able to creating that these are something called the data agent. So within the Fabric. So this is also to give us that another view of where the customer prefer that, hey, I wanna quickly using that those agent, which is embedding within the Fabric. So this is another way I find out that comparing the SQL to text basis, the response. So data agents actually give us that much more the accuracy when it comes with that millions of records where we are able to replicate into the Fabric. Okay, so I try to using that the Korean language, my natural language. So those of you, and then also I just break down the fiscal year 2023. Yes, bingo. Okay. So I mean, so far from the compare with that the earlier time. So what I was quickly go through with here. Yeah. So the Copilot Studio Custom Agent, like what the Holger you mentioned, that I think the continually like we see that more connectors coming into Copilot Studio. So earlier the option number one was that basically you have to write in the code where I've been highlighting that Teams app, Copilot chat, or if you want to using the Copilot plugin, so you have to write in the code. Depends on your preference of Python, JavaScript, TypeScript, where sometimes customer they don't feel comfortable. And then the second major, the benefit, so where I placing there's a low code and then Copilot Studio custom agent. Now like comparing that last year, right? Wow, now it's like wow, is it really improving like the week by week? I mean, I got so many like the nice connectors. We have got SAP OData connectors. I mean, basically, when I am comparing my time effort writing the code in a Bibles with that, using the embedded connector, I find out that Copilot Connect is actually getting better and better. So I feel like, hey, I don't need actually writing the code. So this is what I'm feeling that. Okay.
I agree. I think in a lot of scenarios now, Copilot Studio is simplified the way to connect to an SAP system and create also multi-agent scenarios much easier than doing the coding. I mean, I still think that the AI agent SDK has a place, and there are still a lot of projects where developing this really pro code makes total sense. But Copilot Studio has evolved dramatically, so there are a lot of things that you can do in the meantime.
Okay, I see. Okay, yeah. So I think the so far I've been seeing here in Asia like 1 and 2 and 3. So comparing that very early time. So now I can see that a lot of customer and partner actually they are gearing up. So then when it comes with that something called the Azure AI agent, where we're calling that within the Azure AI Foundry. So we have got quite number of like the agent, which is give us that idea. So also during the build 2025, we've got so many announcements when it comes with that particularly either you are able to using that as a knowledge source. Think knowledge source, it can be SAP, I mean, all data and all the things. Also particularly tools. Okay, so tools point of view, where we're calling that we can calling that the Azure function. We can calling that the OpenAI specification. There are various tools we are able to using it, including Fabric. So I see that a lot of customers they actually prefer that the Azure AI agent as well. Okay, this one is actually comes with the Pro Code as well. Okay. So those of you who is not familiar with that functions, okay, what I'm saying. Okay, so this is where I was talking here. Okay, so right now, like here, so as you can see, code interpreter, OpenAI 3.0 specified the tools, and then now you can see that Logic is actually available here as well. Okay, this is great tool. So I've got the demo as well, and also in a knowledge point of view. So here you can see that. So now the Fabric is actually available as a preview. So then once you have got your data agent, just before I showed you the demo, once you do have data agent within the Fabric, then you actually able to call in this data agent in here as well. This is one of the benefit. Once you're using that, once you're creating the data agent into the Fabric, so you are able to reusing it throughout the agent as well. So this is another way where a lot of customers are there interested. So if they've got sort of like a knowledge of how to managing that the SDKs, I think I definitely recommend you try to use this one as well.
And actually, I think that there you also see a huge evolution. So if I look at Azure AI Foundry or the previous version, basically, it was fairly complicated to add additional external data sources, and now it's really growing and growing. So as you just saw, as you just demonstrated, connecting to Fabric, connecting to other data sources is just a click away basically, and a lot of this technical integration is done for you in the background.
Yeah. So particularly the SAP customer, like what the Gordon has been indicating, that comparing that other application data, the whatever like the data you actually ingest, replicate into the Fabric, so it comes with that million records. So where you can think about, hey, how are I able to running that natural language dynamic query with the millions of records? Very difficult. So however, once the data is replicated into the Fabric, so my recommendation, trying to define that the industry specific or the module specific the semantic model. So once you do have this semantic model, and then you are able to creating that the data agent into the Fabric, so you are able to read using the data agent with that Azure AI agent, and then those Azure AI agent you are able to connect into the Teams app or the Copilot, sorry, M365 Copilot chat as well. So this is how we're doing it. So I think this is the way a lot of customers, they are gearing up when it comes to that, trying to using something called managed agent services within the Azure AI Foundry. And then I think I just showed that the data agent Fabric, which is the preview. Okay, so this is what I call in the low code. And then of course, like our enterprise insight, if we prefer the pre-made that the business portal, so I strongly waiting for the enterprise insight in beta view as well. So I think the next one, what I'm trying to see there, so I've got the chance to working with something called the SaaS integration. Okay, so what it means. So far the older data source, what I have been creating demo is actually either is on-prem or our SAP on Azure. So then we are actually able to replicating that pretty much using that the creating the connectors or using the third-party connectors, so we are able to ingesting data. However, so I think my cases was actually one of the customer cases. So they actually want to the running the Copilot with the Ariba Ariba system. So due to that, after I left the SAP, I've got no chance to log into the Ariba. So I quickly go through that. What are the APIs available? So I think, so one example that be, so definitely, so what we can do, we can taking this REST API from the Ariba API. So I taking that something called also the get procurement to the daily the instantly. So this is API. So where at least I got the real-time query of the purchase order invoice extra. So what I done, so I log into the SAP's the Ariba API. So I find out that yes, this is available. So I'm actually able to draw that sort of like the using of the Ariba's API. Okay, so I think the typical enterprise, I know the Ariba and S/4HANA, so they have to do that the synchronization, so throughout that the cloud connector, etc. So this is not my interest. So my interest would that be I taking this API throughout the API again, and then I creating the plugin from the Copilot Studio. And then I'm able to actually taking some data. So for example, so this is a given the test API URL from the SAP. So once I'm using it, so this is the body request where I can see that approval status, the unique name, etc., including that the amount. Okay, so once I've got those are the bodies, so what I've been done, so I do creating that the another flow. So we're actually able to taking this agent into that sort of like the body table. Okay, so as you can see, so I'm able to taking those are the API, and then simply creating another the flow.
Nice.
Yeah, so where am I actually able to see that the same API response from the Copilot. Okay, so
Cool.
then so easy to publish because it comes with that all the connectivity of Teams Copilot. So then yeah, so I mean actually I showed that you can publish throughout app. And then this is a very quick demo, so which I've been creating that. So this is API which I have got. And then I'm just taking a step, make sure that I've got the right response from the API, and then checking with that. So yes, so running. So this is return the body information. Then what I've been done, so I go to my Copilot, which I'm creating. So give me the details of purchase requisition PL. Yeah, so it gives us that actually same number what you have been seeing there. So this is another way. So I was really wondering how do I do that? So actually the Copilot Studio, okay, the flow actually gives us the very good flow, which I was able to using the quick way the demo. So this is also quite, I mean, the way how we do another integration option. So if you're looking for the SaaS point of view, so this is what we can do. Okay, so yeah, so this is the SaaS integration, which I strongly recommend you are able to using it, Copilot Studio Custom Agent. So the Joule and the M365 Copilot, yes, there are several updates from the product group. So I think so this is, I mean, nothing new, our customer as the integration option. So I think the next to the number 9, number 10 is that, so what we hope from throughout the build is that the Azure AI Foundry, so which I showed you here.
Yeah.
So let's say that, yeah, so this is the Azure AI Foundry. So simply what you can do. So once we define that the Azure AI agent, okay, so here you are able to actually the integrating that logic app. Okay, so here what I have, so I've been enabling. And then, so once you click the manage, yeah, so this is all the actually the schema which have been defined. So where we are able to actually test it throughout that the playground. Okay. So this is what the normally customer they're starting that evaluating of the creation of the Azure AI agent using the logic app. So for example, okay, let's say yeah, so basically so you can ask anything. Show me the top 5 notebook list as of today. Okay.
Now, via the Logic app, it's connecting to the ES5 system.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then you will see that, okay, gateway happen, okay, as usual, okay. So
That's a live demo. That's okay.
yeah. So this is how we've been done. So I think what we can do, so once you be triggering that those inquiry, so basically comes to here, and then you will see that the logic is actually taking that those are requests, okay, learning through that those are the flow. Okay, so this is what I've been done. So actually SAP OData Connect is actually embedding here. So most of customer they end with a, okay, so here, so I think like once again, so most of customer like they've been asking, okay, so after we successfully play with that playground here, so how do I actually publishing that these are the agent into the Teams application or Copilot chat? Okay, so this is a lot of the customers asking that. So what we can do? So here's actually I've been writing that some code. Okay, so I think those of you who following that my request. Okay, yeah, where are you? Yeah. Okay. So I actually the publishing that GitHub link repo, so where you are able to see that logic. Okay. So where from the source code point of view, so this is a way how you actually able to reusing that the agent which you have been creating here with the Foundry URL in agent. Then what you can do, so here, once you type in that something called same the command.
Mhm.
Okay. So what you can do, so then you go back to the Azure Foundry, and then once I creating that, refresh the thread. Okay, so this is a 35, I just refresh it. Okay, so 41, yeah. So thread has been actually creating that. Okay, so you see the exact command, comparing the files letter from all agents. So it means that I launched the command from the Copilot. Now it is actually creating the thread in here. So once I refresh one more time, okay, now it's actually length has been actually updating that. Agent is actually taking the flow. Okay, so just before, yeah, so you might see it as something like this. Okay, so actually you're reading that all data information throughout that the logic gap. Okay, so then you will see that same information into the Copilot. Okay, something like this. Okay, so this is how you're actually able to taking that Azure AI agent ID into the Copilot. Then you're actually able to run the same thing into the here. Okay,
Also
so
in
you can,
Teams there.
yeah. So you can do the throughout the Copilot. Same thing. You can do the as a Teams app application as well. So I think you will see that the same result. Okay, so I did.
Yeah.
So there are two ways of doing that. So this is actually give us that customers a lot of good feedback. Hey, CJ, I think thank you very much for your code. So I've got the quite good feedback from our customer. Yeah. So this is how you are able to actually able to using it. Yeah. Let me just quickly go through that idea. Yeah. So from the local development point of view, so using that sort of like the quick the Azure proxy function, and then it's actually the running as a proxy. Then it is actually hiding that Azure Foundry. But the logic is that here I creating that CPU Office agent. That tool is actually calling that the logic app, and then it is actually consuming that data throughout that SAP S5. So this is another way how you are able to consuming that, which is creating that your agent into that Azure AI Foundry, which is using by the Copilot. So this is a good option, which I strongly recommend. You can try that. Okay, so this is from the customer agent point of view. Okay, so you see that on the right hand side. So actually the context is creating, and this is the agent result in the thread, which you can see the same. And this is the flow of how logic gap is actually creating that. Yeah. So this is the repo. So I think once the whole uploading the video, so then I'll be sharing that. I mean, you can including this repository.
Yes, that
so
would
those
be
of
great.
you,
Yeah.
okay, so which you can do. So probably yes, Gordon.
No, I'm just always telling how I love those existing black boxes, how Microsoft just offering to plug it in and just use it, so it's just amazing. It's great. It's just great. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I think probably I quickly jump into the one of the last integration option, which is the MCP. Okay. So what I've been done. Okay. So I think Azure API management. Okay, so now currently in the preview, so you're actually able to exposing that MCP URL throughout the API IAM. So what I've been done, so SAP S5, so you do have the GW base, you have got a lot of the entities. Okay, so I taking that the prepared BP product set SAP data. And I'm actually able to creating there's something called the function app as a dynamic routing. Instead of the creating that is a 5 set, so I giving there something called like the blank entity. So whenever user asking the question, and based on what they've been asking, so it will be picking up the one of the entities from here. Okay, and then those are function apps actually exposed into that API M as a part of the MCP server. And then MCP server is actually exposing that those are the URL into the GitHub agent and Copilot. And then from the local point of view. So those agents actually calling that the MCP URL. This is where so you are able to running that, correct? So I think so. This is how from the Azure function point of view. So I mean, instead of the using that OpenAI specifications, which is quite complicated and converting it. So once within the API, so you're actually able to creating that API as edit in Azure function. So sequence is that you creating that as the Azure function logic, okay, including that the data set. Then you actually creating the API within the API, then you are actually able to creating the API. So those API, we will go through that part of like the MCP server, and then so within the Copilot agent. Okay, so as you can see, so I've been asking this, so what's the product ID? Then on the top, so you actually see that the patch point of view is reading that the MCP server URL. So I'm blocking that because it comes with the entire value. So where you are able to see that, you actually reading that product information. So this is how you're reading that the simple one. So I also testing with that more like a complicated one. Something give me that the top 3 customers by total sales number. Okay, so then it is actually reading that the data mapping, which I've been creating here. Okay, so then as you can see, so it is reading that the various data set, okay, among the 5. Then it comes with the creating automatically creating data. Then it actually generating that SAP, Asai, High Tech, Jadeco, that comes with it. This is also really surprising that using that MCP server as first time. Okay, so this is one way information where you are able to using the MCP server with the SAP data, so which is another good way. So
I agree. Yeah.
So let's quickly go through that my last comparison. So from the integration point of view, so I just showed you 2 live demos. So one is that using that Azure AI Foundry Service Agent, you actually be using the tools calling with Azure Logic App. And the last option, what I testing is the MCP server. So using the API in preview. So this is another way if you're preparing that better way of the integration without writing all the different layers. MCP, you just writing the MCP server, which is actually easy. So only thing what I done is that the Azure function. So then MCP also pretty much is okay. So as a wrap up, right? So I think I just go to the reverse once again. So if you prefer that sort of like the controlling that the better way of the Azure AI agent, then I strongly recommend. So you're trying to using that Azure AI Foundry services. So this is a very good option. And then if you still prefer that, you sort of like the pre-packaging engineering point of view, so I think we can still go with that SAP Joule in a Copilot, the integration, that's the one. So if we have got this SaaS solution, okay, example like the Ariba, so we're still using that the REST API throughout that the Fabric. So this is another good integration option. And then if you're already replicating the data into the Fabric, okay, then I strongly recommend you using the data agent. And then those are data agent, you are able to calling throughout that the Azure AI agent once again. So this is how you are able to running that as a low code, no code. And then if you got the better idea, if you got better structure the flow, then my recommendation, you can still play around with the Copilot Studio custom agent. It's getting smarter and smarter, which I like it very much. And then lastly, so if you still prefer the, hey, I want to fully controlling that the agent response and accuracy, then my recommendation is using that the M365 agent SDK. So you can creating that Teams app, Copilot chat. Also, you are able to extending sort of like a Copilot function as the Copilot plugin. So far, I have been come up with about 9 integration option, which I've been trying that throughout the FY25. Okay, that's all I've been trying at the FY25 whole game golden. Which one do you like it?
I like all of them, and I like the breadth of the different options, because maybe I am a Python developer, or I'm a C# developer. So perfect. Let's go with the Agent SDK. Maybe I have been using the Power Platform for the last 5 years. Then let's go with Copilot Studio. the work that is happening now with Azure AI Foundry. I think it's really fantastic to see the different options that we provide. I mean, yes, I can understand that for customers this might be confusing because there are too many options. So which one do I take? And I think that's exactly why your overview here was also really, really useful to first of all show what is there basically, what are the options, and then a customer, a partner can decide which way they want to go.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I think for me, here in Asia, I would say that comparing to last year, right? I mean, there are huge demanding with the Copilot Studio. Okay. So I think the connectors like day by day in the previous is pretty much amazing. So after that, from a lot of the customer where they've been really in catching up the Copilot chain, I see that without the writing the code, so they've got great Copilot agent, try the customer agent. We are feeling that the Copilot Studio is catching up. But however, those are the big customer. They're running that sort of like the million of record, and then I still see that they prefer the data agent. We're comparing the SQL to the text, the dark spaces in a Fabric data agent, which is much more accurate. Okay, so I see the high demand, which you already have got the Fabric, then I strongly recommend using the data agent. And then you log on to the Azure AI Foundry, and then as the tools, right? So as the knowledge source, okay? So knowledge source, you are able to integrating that Fabric, and then you consume by the Copilot chat, which I share with that same code of this logic app. And then you have got option where you are able to giving that the user, either you are able to using your AI agent throughout that the Teams application or Copilot, then our Copilot is that continually as the UI for the AI. So I do expecting they're coming the last in H2. I do see the high demanding of Azure AI Foundry Services Agent and also the MCP server as well.
Perfect.
All right, dear Gordon, Gordon, what about you? I mean, which one do you like? Which one you don't like it?
Me?
Yeah.
Look, I mean, this is a great overview. Depends what do you want and how much knowledge. I mean, what Holger is actually mentioning, Copilot Studio, it's maybe a good start because it's easier. It's really kind of either no code or this low code is just you put it the boxes, so to say. So it's probably for majority of people, it's customer, it's easier to start with. However, if you want to really full deep dive control and extract the data, probably then the Foundry encoding, it's a better approach. But it's for me, it's really amazing to see all those. Even you see in the Foundry comes logic apps, which again enables you. I mean, empowers you so much. And these kind of stuff are already existing, and they are there and they work, right? So it enables. I mean, amazing scenario for everybody. So okay, you can use in a Copilot, you can use this Foundry, So this is really excellent to see it.
All right, good. Okay, so once again, so I think I'm trying to continually updating all my technical updated my LinkedIn. So those of you who is looking for the better way, so I mean you can follow in my LinkedIn. So otherwise, I think that's all what I have been preparing for today.
Fantastic.
Super.
No, CJ, thank you very much for this overview. I think you're one of very few people who has touched all these different technologies, has actually done some demos, have some hands-on experience, and I think it's great to see and share this knowledge with customers and partners. So thank you so much. And as you said, in the next fiscal year, we'll continue to invite you, and we'll see some new cool stuff from you. I'm really looking forward to that.
Sure. Okay. So once again, feel free to reach out to me. Okay. So let's see how we are able to making the success of the Microsoft AI with SAP data.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
You.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.